Hello, my name is Jake. I'm going to be presenting to you my free book. I have 3 books, game ideas, free game. Yeah. So my first game is The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. So in this book, Sherlock is a consulting detective, and you're viewing the book from the perspective of Watson, I think his name was. Uh, he's known as he refers to himself as a consulting detective who's known for his observation, seduction, forensics, and logical thinking, which he shows many examples through the book by explaining how he thinks of his conclusions and makes it sound extremely simple. He investigates privately for clients who hire him. He'll go to their office. Well, they'll go to his office and ask him to do stuff. It's set in the late 1800s to early 1900s, which I don't know how because that's a long period of time to be alive for. And it's in the UK. The game idea that I came from this is that you solve mysteries by traveling to crime scenes. You'll find different clues, which could be anything from a cup with a crack in it, and you'll have to look at it yourself. And you've got to use your brain, which I'll explain in the next slide. But you find the clues, you can inspect them by turning them, you can pick them up, you can move objects, and you can look for different scrapes, blood, anything on the floor. So the using your brain part means there's absolutely no help in the game. You're just put into the room, the crime scene room that you selected, and you have to find all the clues to get to a conclusion. There's no UI, no HUD to like point you in the direction or the right direction, but I think I might change that to where there's a difficulty option so you can choose whether or not you want the UI so everybody can play it. The only UI, however, is a notebook which you can bring up to where you can type in notes yourself. So you don't have to have a physical notebook with you to write down the clues. And word like pop-ups. So if you're reading a notebook clue or you're reading a piece of paper and it's got really bad handwriting, not everyone will be able to read it. So to make it easier for people with accessibility issues, they'll be able to have the typed out text on the screen. As I said earlier, there's only you, a mission brief, the room, your notebook, and hidden clues, and you have to find everything and come to your own conclusion. So the theme is going to be set in the same time frame as the book, the 1800s to 1900s. Britain, it's all going to be old, worn down buildings. It's not like the posh area. It's going to, well, some maps might be the posh area, mainly the older areas, the more worn down, poor areas of the UK. This is just my little drawing of the sketch of the menu that I want to do. So in the game view here, you can see that it's the room. It's going to be Sherlock's office. And when you select the option for story or free play, story will bring you to his desk where it'll just show you like a newspaper with the photo on the newspaper being the mission photo and like a brief below it. And if you choose free play where you get to select your missions, it'll be on a billboard with little pictures and notes next to them where you can select the free play missions. However, I do think I'm only going to have a free play mission for my actual game, as I don't think I'd be able to do all that in the time. This is my mood board. As I said earlier, you can start in the menu, you press E, you can press story, free play. There'll be other options like a settings option and a quit option. The mission photo is like a Polaroid photo with a sticky note brief, and they've got strings attached, and that'll be the photo for the mission in the brief. The story one's the one in the bottom left, where it'll show you the desk. You'll travel to crime scenes and you'll mark out all your different crimes, write down what you need in your notebook, come to a conclusion where you'll be able to see your score, which will be a percentage on all evidence in your conclusion. So here I put evidence found 7 out of 13, clues inspected 3 out of 18. Correct verdict, yes, which came to an 86%. The correct verdict makes up 50% of your score. This is my mind map. So I've got the theme here, which is the different points I explored earlier. So the Britain, it'll be rainy, grey skies, the stereotypical British weather. They'll have fancy clothing, but not fancy as in rich fancy, more worn down suits with rips on the elbows and stitches on them, and old hats. Old timey, it'll be cobbled roads, old wooden houses, horses, carriages, and yeah, there's like very little to no technology. The game mechanics, so you've got the inspecting object mechanics, which you can pick up things, rotate objects, and move things. This will all help you find clues by moving different things to find things that may be hidden. There's a score system, which I explained on the storyboard with accuracy and correct outcome. In-game notebook where you can take notes, movement. Audio. So I'm gonna have ambient noises like there might be rain on the window if you're inside a house or birds if you're in a forest. Movement, footsteps, moving of objects, scraping, and then background music, which in the level I was originally planning, there's a what would they call like the record player things, and it'll have the scratching music coming from that, which you can just interact with it, turn it on and off. Menus and HUD, you'll just have the main menu, the level menu, options menu, but there'll be no general HUD on the screen. And the colors will be browny, creamy, black colors, black and white screen. Well, not screens, but black and white, like aesthetic. Game mechanics and game notebook. It will be similar to the Phasmophobia notebook, is where I got inspired from with its different evidence. The conclusion will be like the ghost page. And you could, the option setting might also be in there through the pause menu system, kind of like that one is. Score system based on the things you find. Inspecting objects, kind of like down here where you can pick up an object and rotate it. And you got the movement. This I explained in the mind map with the different menus for score screen, investigation, review, and then the settings page. This is my mood board. So this is more richer area of the clothing I was talking about, and this is the more poor area, kind of. Maybe not this one, but more the working class. The streets will look more like this: horses, carriages, old buildings. Over here we have some interiors, which will be what I want to base it off. It'll be very like messy, but not messy as in random items thrown everywhere, but more as in there's a lot of items, so you have to look through everything. Newspapers, which is what I'm going to have on the desk for you to look at from Mission Brief. And then here's some general billboards, detective rooms. And then that's a sketch of Sherlock Holmes himself. The game version of the mood board, this is from different games where I've managed to find things I can inspire it based off the outfits, the rooms, the enemies, the dialogue options. I did a second storyboard, which pretty much just explains the same thing. My Moscow board. So what I must have is movement, an interactive environment, clues, a notebook, matching assets, music and SFX, menus, and then you get your investigation success or fail screen, which will tell you if you came to a correct verdict. Should have animations, investigation rating, and multiple ratings, which is like the clues found and other stuff like that. Could have multiple levels, a story, and voice acting. The voice acting wouldn't be real people, but probably AI voice acting because it's expensive to get real people to voice the games. And it won't have online co-op or any DLCs. The audio, like I said, here's some examples of the audio. The background music will be coming from the gramophone. Moving objects, it's just an object scraping noise. That's the movements is a footstep. It's like footsteps on wooden floor. Then ambience is just rain on the window. I made a Trello board, but I only made one for this game because when I get my game choice, I'll just tailor it to that. Now I'm on to my game 2. This is Hamlet by William Shakespeare. So the story of Hamlet is there's a ghost, the ghost of the king of Denmark, and Hamlet is his son. The ghost tells Hamlet to get revenge on his uncle, who's the new king, who killed the original king of Denmark. Yeah, there we go. Hamlet's a little. It's set in the 1300s to 1499, which is what I got from the Wikipedia. It's the only place I could find with a general time there it's set, and it's set in Denmark. Plot outline. So my game is going to be set after the events of what happened in Hamlet. You're a young student going on an expedition towards the same castle that it was set. However, it's all abandoned in a wreckage. It's all crumbled. And you stumble across these ruins on your outing, and you encounter the ghost of King Hamlet. He grants you a magical lantern, which can show you the memories of what happened there. It's similar to Sea of Thieves, where you have a lantern and you can hold it up and see the echoes of what happened in that area. So the theme, it's going to be a dark night. It's going to be cloudy, abandoned castle. And the ghosts are going to be similar to this, where you hold the lantern and you can see this like a blue ghostly figure of what happened. This is my design for the menu. It's just going to be the front view of the castle. And then once you press start, it'll go into the castle. And then that's when you get to select continue, quick game, new game options. My game design, which this is a general game view of what you'll be seeing while playing the game. That's you, it'll be this third person view and you'll be holding the lantern up. And there's the two ghostly figures and you can see them holding a sword towards each other. So the VFX, you've got the ghostly, like aura kind of thing coming off the ghosts. There's obviously dust clouds from the abandoned castle that's all old, and the lanterns below. Scene, there's the magic lantern, destroy paintings, destruction and rubbish, the ghost, the door, wallpaper peeling off. And then the UI is just the hold E to remember, which when you hold E, that's when it'll play the memory. So the mind map, I have Beam, it's an abandoned castle with destroyed furniture and the building is completely collapsing. It's spooky, it's ghosts, but it's not horror level ghosts. There's an eerie feel because it's an abandoned building. Game mechanics, so you have the interaction with memories and you can choose whether to believe what you're seeing is real or false. You get the lantern, which will show you the memories, and based on how you adjust the light coming off the lantern, depends on what memories you can see. Then movement. Audio, you'll have the ambience of the creaking floorboards, whistling of the wind, all of that kind of thing. Maybe an owl outside, the movement noises, scraping, footsteps, and background music. The background music will be subtle. It won't be too out there. It'll be more, but while you're coming to a conclusion on what the ghost is saying. Menus and HUD, there'll be a main menu, the level menu, which I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do levels, but I kind of want to have a way you can skip between the different parts of the story. And then there'll be an options menu. Colors, it'll be dark. There's the blue ghost, white for the different objects, and brown because it's an old building. Game mechanics, it's third person. There's the lantern mechanic where you can raise it and change the brightness to see different memories. Right click to activate the lantern, which is raising it. And you can adjust the brightness of the lantern, like I said earlier. Menus and HUDs. There's a main menu where you'll get the continue new game options, continue. Settings menu where you get to change your brightness, sensitivity, interactions button UI, which will show up at the bottom of the screen, similar to this one, press E to interact. And then on-screen text is how you have to do things in the beginning when you're first playing, kind of like a tutorial. This is the mood board of the general thing. The ghost photos are the best because AI is not very smart. But there's the general castle. I'm pretty sure that was the castle it's based off, but I'm not 100% sure. So I've got a bunch of photos of that, as well as photos of other castles and a broken down castle here. Blue lanterns, more lantern photos and the ghostly figure. This is my game mood board. This is from other games that I found. We've got different environments here, which will be similar to mine. And then this is more of the spirit, echo, ghost kind of thing going on. And then there was also this game here, I forgot the name of it, but you can also see past events, I think it was, using an object. Yeah. This is my storyboard for this game. You stumble across it, you go inside, you talk to the ghost. The ghost gives you the lantern lets you see things, and then you get to choose whether to believe it. And you can, they're just saying you can adjust the brightness for different memories. Moscow. So must have is movement, an abandoned castle, a magic lantern, interactive echoes and memories, a ghost, sound effects and music, and the ghost can lie. Should have, all assets should match the theme. Choosing to believe the ghost should be an option. And the storyline should be told through the memories. Could have interactive environment, survival horror aspects, health, and voice lines, again using AI. And it won't have online play co-op or DLCs. More audio here is just some background music, some ambience, some movement noise, and I don't think I put the interaction sounds on there. But the interaction sound would be just probably the noise of whatever you're picking up or touching. And now book 3, this is The Lost World by Arthur Conan Doyle again. It's the sequel, I'm pretty sure, to Jurassic Park. Or prequel, I don't remember. So a professor claims to have found dinosaurs. So they take an expedition to a plateau in the Amazon, and then they find the dinosaurs there. It's set in the early 1900s in the Amazon rainforest. So my game will be, you will find other people. You are an adventurer who comes across this same clearing with the dinosaurs. And while you're adventuring, you can come across the natives of that area, which will give you quests and tasks to complete for them. Since you're a lot more smart than they are, they don't know what they're doing. You've got all the technology, but they'll ask you to do tasks for them. Like maybe they'll tell you to slay a dinosaur or collect them berries, and they'll grant you rewards like armor or maybe objects that you can use to make armor or anything in that area. You'll also get experience from the rewards, which will level you up and you can get stronger, which means you can fight higher level dinosaurs and bigger dinosaurs. The theme is going to be a tropical rainforest. There's going to be dinosaurs, which is the main part of the game. It's on an island, so well, not an island. You're on it's an island in the forest, so it's surrounded in water, so it's not easy to access, which is why it's not being charted. And there's a forest on the island, which is within the forest itself. So the design, this is the menu design again, where you'll just be, camera will be in the forest. You'll be able to see a dinosaur maybe wandering past the screen. And then once you press E, it'll move you forwards to where you can see maybe a camp from one of the natives. You'll see a fire, maybe a TP, a tent. And then the actual game's design. So you have a scene here where it's got the action buttons at the bottom, which tells you can right click for a thrust, left click for a swing, F for a punch, R for a dodge. You can also see the character in the top right with the quest icon above their head next to a fire. The UI will be just these, and maybe there'll be a health UI as well. So the assets in the sea and the trees, characters, the fire, forest debris, quest icons, the natives and dinosaurs, and there'll be the effects of falling leaves, the sword, wind coming off of it, and the wounds in enemies, which will be detailed because I have to keep it under a certain range, so it should be like a little black slash or maybe a slightly redder slash. My map, so the theme is a tropical island, dinosaurs, tall trees, kind of like the banana trees with the huge leaves. There's all this fruit everywhere which you can eat, sell, trade. There's beaches and sun. There's native islanders who you can tell their skin is sun damaged. They're really strong since they spend all their time building and in a forest climbing. And they have lots of items that they can give you. Game mechanics, combat, damage for players and enemies. There's combat animations, scaled damage for weapons and level. Movement, quests, which you can claim rewards upon completing. Gear, which you can swap out and collect stronger gear. You can finally use items like potions, healing items, and warp stones, which will teleport you back to wherever you need to be. Audio, there's combat sounds like the club, the sword, and the bow going off. Damage noises of when you take damage, you might grunt, the enemy, this dinosaur might roar, or also grunt if it's another person. Menus and HUDs, main menu, options menu, and settings, colors. It'll be green, blues, and whites. It'll all be like a tropical theme going on. Game mechanics, movement, combat, quests, gear upgrades, and you can find and use items. Menus and HUDs. This will be the main menu. There's a settings menu, a pause menu. There'll be the health bar, an inventory menu so you can go through your items, and gear selection so you can put on and take off whatever gear you want for whatever fight you need it for. This is my mood board for this. It's just showing off some tropical environments, which I'm pretty sure these are also from the Amazon rainforest. Some basic native thrown together kind of houses. Some native characters here, as well as dinosaurs. Top left. And then this is the Gamerized news board where I have different dinosaurs from all sorts of games, since there's Grand Emprise, Ark. I also have different forest environments here from maybe the forest and don't remember what that game was called, and Far Cry. This is my storyboard. So you adventure to a dinosaur island. Something happens, you'll wake up, you don't know where you are, and you'll find these natives on the island. And they'll talk to you, give you quests. They can see you're a lot higher intelligence-wise. Like they can see you've got full clothing instead of just leaves and sticks. And they'll give you quests to go do stuff. So you'll go off, you'll fight things, you might use a stick as a weapon at first, and as you complete quests, you'll gain better gear from them. You can die if you're not strong enough. So if you ain't got to a high enough level, they will one-tap you. Quests can also be finding items. They don't have to just be killing things. You can find items for the natives, and they will reward you for it. And that's then there. Once you complete the quest, they'll give you the reward, which you can then use to fight more, go on and quest more. My Moscow board. So what I must have is UI and menus, animations, movement, an open world, sound effects, music, quests, and combat. What I should have is an inventory system, difficulty scaling, a reward system, leveling up, armor, assets, boss battles, online play, and voice lines. Again, used by AI. What I could have is a storyline, rideable objects like dinosaurs or tameable creatures, interactable environments like you could break down trees, break down doors, collapse buildings. Killed enemies drop loot, like if you kill a sheep, it might drop some wool. And there's a shop system. Well, it could have a shop system where you can buy and sell to the natives on the island. It won't have DLCs, co-op, or microtransactions. And it won't be perfect since it is limited time. Audio, there's some background music, so it's not completely silent while you're adventuring around. There's combat sounds, sword swinging, grunts, movements like footsteps in the grass, rustlings of bushes, dinosaur sounds, roaring, stomps, quest sounds like maybe a tick noise, like a ding when you complete one, and interacting sounds like opening doors and boxes. It's playing the sounds now. So in my opinion, the best for gameplay is the Sherlock Holmes. Well, best for unique gameplay is the Sherlock Holmes, just based on the fact that there's no hell. It's just an escape room game, where there is a few of them, but compared to an open world adventure game and a game where you can see story through ghosts, there's a lot less that I could find. Creative world building and adventure is the dinosaur game, and the best take on the original story is Hamlet, just because of the fact that it's not set as in the Hamlet timeline. You are not playing as Hamlet experiencing the story, you're experiencing it as someone else. But I think my favorite is the dinosaur game, just because of how much I can do for it and how much imagination can go into it. I did have a vote screen here, but I don't think we're doing that anymore. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Any feedback from the room? Okay. Really, really good presentation. Possibly one of the best we've seen, which I think we expected, didn't we? Your three ideas, I can see which one you've put the most, maybe the most thought into. And that is probably the Lost World one. I think the one that confused me the most was probably the second one, because I'm trying to think, how can we turn? How is that? Is that a game? in my head, is that a game? It's more of an interactive storybook.
It was difficult to turn the story of Hamlet into a game that wasn't just taking the
Yeah,
book.
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, and that was, to be honest, one of the reasons I picked it. And Paul, when he found out that you'd picked Hamlet, said, "Why did you pick Hamlet? Like, how you're being cruel. You can never turn." His exact wording was, "You're being cruel. You can't turn that into a game." And I said, "I trust Jake to go off and turn that into a game." And you kind of have. There's just no kind of end goal there. What I might have done with it, because I think what you did was really, it was interesting. Okay. And I think you're on the right, kind of the right tracks. What I might have done with the Hamlet game is have it so that you have to figure out what the truth is and correct what happened.
That's kind of the goal, but it's also more like the ghost is just lying to you,
Yeah.
showing you false memories.
Yeah. So I think if you added that bit where you're kind of correcting the past, trying to, like make the spirits of the Hamlet kind of like ascend to wherever they're ascended to, but that kind of thing, I think that would have been maybe the icing on the cake that turned it into a proper game. Game one, in all fairness to you, was my favorite game idea.
It was mine at first too, but then I just kind of liked the adventure side of the film.
I'll talk a bit more about an idea that came to my head when you was talking about the first one, off camera, just because it's not got anything to do with the project. Right, I really like your implementation of your Moscow boards on all three of them. I think those are probably the best mind maps I've seen you do yet, which is really good. Your storyboards were really good, and I really liked the way that you did your the different positioning of your camera on the menu design. That was nice. So yeah, I mean, the only thing that I had with the third game is it not basically just Ark, but with a quest system?
It's similar. Yeah, I can see why it'd be very similar to it.
You're on an island.
I was thinking more of a storyline though than
Okay.
the open world, just world like building things, taming things, getting stronger.
So what's the end goal?
You just keep getting stronger, just keep doing quests, getting stronger.
Is it to get off the island though, or is it
I don't know. I ain't made
kill
the
and eat
story
all the
yet.
dinosaurs, or
I ain't came up with a story for it yet. It was just mainly the gameplay.
so that would be one direction for you to kind of flesh out if you go with that game. But other than that, no, yeah, really well done. Any other feedback from anyone?